Hey there, Alexis here from PersiaLu.com. Today I'm going to be walking you through the basics of the Silhouette Studio software, which is the software that you need to craft with your Silhouette Cameo, Portrait, or Curio machine. And I'm going to be showing you how you can open designs in the software, modify, change those designs, and also how you can draw or create your own brand new designs right in the software. This video is part of the Silhouette versus Cricut challenge that I do with my friend Colleen from Lemon Thistle. She's going to be walking you through the basics of the Cricut software design space, and you can find a link to her video somewhere below. All right, you guys ready to learn about Silhouette Studio? Let's get started. Alright, so here we are in the Silhouette Studio software. You can see that I'm using the business edition of the software. That's just what I have installed on my computer. But don't worry, for this introduction to Silhouette Studio, I will only be talking about the tools and features that are available with the basic edition of the software, which you can download for free from the Silhouette website. Silhouette Studio, even the basic version, is a great piece of design software and you can create lots of designs with it. And I'm going to show you some of the tools you can use to get designing right in the software. I'm using the most recent version of the software, which is version 4.4. You can see what version of the software you're using if you go here to Silhouette Studio, About Silhouette Studio, and it'll show you the version that you're using. I want to start by drawing your attention to this corner up here. We have 4 different main tabs. They give you 4 different kind of sections of the software. The first is the design tab, and that's where we are right now. This is where you can use all of the design tools, where you can modify, scale, adjust your design and fonts. Second tab is the design store, and when you click that, it's just going to open up the design store website in your web browser. The third tab is the library tab. This is where you will find all of the design files that you have downloaded from the design store or uploaded into your library. The third tab is the Send tab. This is where you can adjust your cut settings and tell your machine how you want it to cut, sketch, or make the project. All right, so let's go back to the Design tab. If you're not going to be creating your own design, instead if you're working with an existing design that you purchased from the design store or that you've got from a blog or purchased from a cut file shop, then you'll first need to open the design in the software. If it's something you purchased from the design store, you can just go to the library tab. There's a search bar here so you can type in what it is you're looking for. Can find the cut file and then double click it to import it into the design portion where you can adjust it and modify it as you like. You can also import files into the software by going to File, Open, and then finding the file type that you want. The basic version of the software can open the Silhouette proprietary file type, which is the Studio. It can also open image file types such as PNGs and JPEGs. It can also open DXF files, which are an AutoCAD file type that gives you the cut lines built in. If you have an upgraded version of the software, you can open SVG files, which are the kind of standard cut file type, and PDFs. So if you're going to be using a lot of SVG files, then I would definitely recommend upgrading to the Designer edition of the software or higher. But there are ways to work with these different file types. For example, I'm going to open this Daisy's PNG file here. In older versions of Silhouette Studio software, you would have to trace PNG files to get the cut lines. But if I zoom in here, you can see that the software has automatically added these red lines around the outside of my design here. So even though this was a PNG file, not a cut file, the Silhouette Studio software will now automatically add cut lines to transparent PNG images. And you can see if I go to the Send tab, because there's red lines here, you can see that it is ready to cut this design. Alright, so now that we know how to open or import our designs into the Silhouette Studio software, I want to show you a few of the ways that you can modify and manipulate existing cut files for your projects. I'm gonna go to my library and open up a design. I'm going to go with these floral monograms, which are available as a free cut file on my website, persialoo.com. You can download it there. So I'm going to double click to import that into my design space here. And they're really big, so first I want to scale it down a little bit. And the way to do that is just to click on the design, and you'll see that in the corners and on the sides, there are these little white boxes. Those are handles. So if I want to scale it down, I'm going to just click on one of the corner handles here and then drag it down to scale it down. Also, you can see that when I imported this, it gave me a huge media size here. So I'm going to go over here to the page setup window. In the page setup window, you can choose the machine you're using, the size of your cutting mat, or whether or not you have a cutting mat, your media size. So right now it has it at 27 almost inches by almost 29 inches. So you can do any custom size, or if you click here on the drop down menu, you can select some common sizes. So I'm just going to change that to 12 by 12. Now, back here to scaling and adjusting our cut file or our design or object here in the software. So I already showed you how you can scale using these handles. Another handle you'll see here is there's this little green circle sticking out of the top of the design. And you can see when I put my mouse over that, it turns into a circular arrow. So if I click there and drag, it allows me to rotate the object. And if I don't like that rotation, or if I do something on accident, really important trick to learn with the Silhouette Studio software is Control or Command Z. That is the keyboard shortcut for undo. So I'm on a Mac, so I'm going to hit Command Z and it undoes that rotation. You can also go up here to Edit, Undo. All right, so we have all 26 letters of the alphabet here, and I don't need all of them. I only want, which letter should we do? I only want M, all right? So since they're all stuck together, what I need to do is I need to ungroup. So with the object selected, I'm going to go to Object, Ungroup. You can see I got all these little boxes. So now I can pull out my letter M, the one that I want, and then I'm going to click here in the corner and drag to select all of the other letters, and then I'm just going to hit delete because I only want this one. And I can scale that up to whatever size I want. You can see as I scale, it shows you the size of the object on the frame around it. So if I want it to be, maybe I'm gonna put it on a mug and I want it to be about 4 inches. I'm gonna put it right there. I'm going to show you a few ways that you can modify or play with this design using the tools in the Silhouette Studio software. So I'm going to make a copy, and to make a copy I can hit Command or Control C and then Command or Control V to copy and paste. So now I have 2 of the same objects. Let me show you another way to do that. Click on it here, and you can see when I clicked on the object, we got a bunch of extra buttons that popped up here. This one that looks like 2 cubes next to each other is duplicate, so I can just click there and I get a copy. One more way I can make a copy, click here. This panel looks kind of like a star, like an object spinning. If I click on that, that's the replicate panel. And then in the replicate panel, you can see there's a lot of different options to make copies. So if I want to duplicate and put it to the right, then I'm going to click here, duplicate right. The replicate tool will allow you to fill a page with the design with one easy click. I'm going to ungroup this again like we did before. I can go back here to Object and click on Ungroup, or you'll see the keyboard shortcut right here is Shift, Command or Control, and then G. And that will ungroup the object. So now you can see I've got this piece, this piece, this piece. So now if I want to, I can make these different colors. I can do each of the different pieces with a different color fill. So I'm gonna go here to this little palette icon. This is the fill panel, and I'm going to make this flower purple. I'm just going to pick some different colors to fill in. Okay, so I now have this design and I've separated it into different pieces and filled them with different colors. Using different fills can help you in a few different ways. It can help you create a design that you're going to print. It can also make it easier to cut or create projects with different layers or colors of vinyl or paper that you're using. Now, what if I want to change the color of these inside pieces? Right now I can't do that because the inside of this leaf here isn't really an object, it's just a hole inside this shape. So in order to do that, let me show you over here on this version of the monogram. So in order to change the color of these interior pieces, we have to release the compound path. So I'm going to go to Object, and then here, Release Compound Path. And what that is going to do is it's going to change it from being one shape with some holes punched through it to just a bunch of shapes kind of stacked on top of each other. I'm gonna click that. And it looks like everything just turned black, but that's because it all has the same fill color, so we just can't see the pieces. But what we need to do is we need to ungroup it, because right now we have all those different pieces just stacked on top of each other, but they're still grouped together. So I'm gonna go to Object, Ungroup. Now you can see all the pieces there? All right, I'm gonna zoom in a little bit, and to make it easier to see all the pieces, I'm just going to click on the very edge so I just get the bottom piece here, and I'm gonna turn it a different color. There you go. So now you can see that we have a background piece and we have these other pieces on top of it. So next I want to select all of the petals on the flower of this M here. To do that, I could click and drag, but I also am getting the M's and I don't want to get the M's. So to select multiple objects, hold down the Shift key as you click. So I'm going to press Shift and click each of the flower petals until I have them all selected. Then if I want, I can group those together, which I'm gonna do by hitting Command or Control G, and then I can choose what color I want them to be. So in this berry right here, we have two circles, two concentric circles that make kind of the center of the berry here. Let me show you, right now they're all green, so it's hard to see. Let me change the colors so you can see them better. So we have a blue circle on top of a pink circle. I want that pink circle here to be punched through the blue circle so that there's a hole, so you see the green behind it. So in order to do that, I just need to select both the pink and the blue, and then I'm going to go here to the Modify panel. And you can see right here, this Make button, it has a circle punched through the rectangle, and that's what we want to do. So I'm going to click there, and it's made one piece out of them. Subtracted that middle piece from the back piece. I have a similar thing here where there's a little hole where this piece of the branch meets this leaf. See this little black piece? That should be a hole punched through what's currently green. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to click and drag to select both of those, and then I'm going to click Make to cut that hole out. All right, so it did cut the hole, but did you see what happened here? These pieces that we used to be able to see, we can't see anymore. Did they disappear? No, what happened is it brought the green piece that we just made up higher in the order, the arrangement of our different pieces. So here is how we can adjust that. When we have this piece selected, there's some buttons up here, bring to front, send to back, bring forward, send backward. You want to think about all the different objects as being stacked on top of each other, and there's an order. So if one is on top of another one, you won't be able to see what's below it. So I'm just going to send this green piece to the back. So I'm going to click here on Send to Back. Aha, and there are our other pieces. You can also do this by right-clicking on the piece, and then you'll see there's a Send to Back option there. Or go to Object, Arrange, bring to front, send to back. So there's different ways to do that. So there you can see I've completely changed the look of these designs just using a few basic tools in the software, filling it with different colors, grouping and ungrouping pieces of the design to get the look that I want. While we're talking a little bit about the fill panel, I just want to show you really quickly that there are a few different ways to use the fill panel, and there are a few different options in the fill panel. So I was just using some of these preset colors that are available in the software, but if you click here on advanced options, you can really get any color that you want. You can add hex code, adjust to get whatever color you want. And then here at the top, there are two different options for fill besides just color. So I can go to the fill gradient is the second panel, and I can choose a gradient, which can give you a really fun look. Finally, in the third tab, you can fill your shape with a pattern. Silhouette Studio software comes with some patterns included. You can also upload patterns. There are advanced options. You can rotate the pattern and adjust the scale of the pattern. Another feature of Silhouette Studio that can be really helpful when working in the software is the Align panel. So I have these little lightning bolt designs here, and I want to line them all up and evenly space them. So I'm going to click over here on this icon. It looks like some rectangles kind of around a line. This is the transform panel. And then you can see the first tab is the Align tab. So first I'm just going to click and drag to select all of my little lightning bolt designs here. And the first thing I'm going to do is I want them to all be lined up at the top. So I'm just going to go here to vertical. This first one is align top. So I'm going to click on that, and it will align all of the pieces so that the top of them are aligned. Next, I just want to evenly space out all of my lightning bolts. So here under spacing, I'm going to click on horizontal, and now I have my lightning bolt designs evenly spaced and aligned together. So now that you've seen some of the ways you can modify or adjust existing designs that you open up in the software, let's talk about how you can create your own brand new designs using the tools in the Silhouette Studio software. So Silhouette Studio includes some great drawing tools to let you make your own designs. Most of these tools you'll find over here on the left side of your screen. The first one is the Select tool. It's the arrow that lets you click on and pick different objects. The lasso tool is not included in the basic version of the software, so I'm not going to talk about that right now. This is the edit points tool. We'll talk about that a little bit later. This tool allows you to draw lines. There are 4 different line tools. The first one is the basic draw line. You just click, drag to wherever you want the end of your line to be. You can see how long the line is as you drag. If you hold down Shift, it will snap your line to either a horizontal straight line, a 45-degree angle, or a vertical line. The second line tool is this tool that allows you to draw a polygon with points. So with that one, you're going to just click, and every time you click, it adds a new point. And you can create any kind of shape that you want. And if you want to close the path to make a shape, you just click back to your starting point to make a closed shape right here. If you don't want to close the shape, then you just want to make a zigzag line that's open. Then you just go back to the Select tool and click off of it to create that open line. The curve shape tool is similar, but it uses curved lines to create your polygon shape. And again, you can do the same thing. You can have it a closed shape or an open line. I'm going to click V on my keyboard, and that is the shortcut for selecting the selection tool, which is the arrow there. And then I can click, drag, rotate, and scale these designs just like I did with the designs that we imported before. If I want to edit these shapes, the actual shape, then I'm going to need to use the Edit Points tool. So I'm going to click on that, click on the shape to select it, then click on the Edit Points tool here. I'm going to hit Command and plus to zoom in a bit on my object. And then I'm going to press the space bar to click and drag to pan over. And now that I'm in here, I can move these points around to change the shape and create whatever design I want. Similarly, I can use this with the curved points, and if I pull on these handles and adjust them, I can change the way the curves are shaped, the angles, and change the look of my shape. Now, just as I did with the design that I imported, I can fill my shapes that I've created however I like. Really quick, while we're talking about drawing lines, I want to mention the line style panel, which I didn't mention earlier, but just as you can fill in a shape with color, you can also apply color and styles to lines. So I'm going to select this little zigzag line that I just drew using one of the line tools. And now I'm going to go over here to the line style panel. It's right below the little palette, which is the fill panel. So I'm going to click there. Here I can adjust the way that this line looks. I can adjust the thickness of the line. I can make it thicker. I can change the way that the corners look, make them pointy or rounded. I can also add end caps to the lines to make them blunt or rounded. I can change the style of the line to make it a dotted line or a dashed line. I could also give it a pattern so it has, like, it goes from thick to thin or makes kind of this teardrop shape. Then the second tab here is the line color. So I can apply a color to the line just like how you can do with the fill panel. One thing I want to mention really quickly while we're talking about line style is when you're adjusting the thickness and shape and things of a line, it's only changing the way it looks. It's not changing the way it will cut. So I made this line really thick. Let's make it really, really thick. When I cut this design, it's still only going to cut that center line. It's not going to cut around the shape. And we can test that by clicking over here to the send menu. And you can see it's just going to cut along that line. The next drawing tool is the shape tool. There are 4 basic shape tools included with the basic free edition of the software. The first is the rectangle tool. Just click and drag to create a rectangle. If you hold down Shift, it will make a perfect square. The next one is the rounded rectangle, which is really similar. Same kind of thing. If you hold down Shift, it will make the sides equal. One difference with the rounded rectangle though is that you have these points here where you can change the curve of the rectangle. If you hold down Shift as you drag these points, it will curve all of the corners at the same rate. The third shape tool is the oval or the ellipse or circle tool. So if I just click and drag, I can make ovals of different shapes. If I hold down Shift, it will make it a perfect circle. And lastly, we have a polygon tool. I'm not going to go into great depth about the polygon tool, but you can create all kinds of different shapes by adjusting this slider. Go from a triangle to a square to a pentagon, octagon, no, that's a hexagon, septagon, octagon, etc. This next tab is the flexi shapes, which are amazing, but I'm not going to go over them here because they are only available in the Designer Plus edition and higher. But just so you know, there's more shapes available in higher editions of the software. And then we have the freehand tools. This you just click and draw and it will follow your mouse to make a shape. And if you go back to the start, then you can fill it in with whatever color you like. The smooth freehand does the same thing, but it won't give you points. Instead, it'll give you nice curves. Next is the type tool or the text tool. If you want to add text to your design, you're going to click here on the A, and you can type whatever word you want. And then over here in the text style panel, you can change the font. You also change the font up here. There's some quick buttons to make that easy. Silhouette Studio will work with any font you have installed on your computer, so you can access all of the fonts that you have right in the software. So in order to change the font or to change the text, I need to first select the letters that I want to change. I'm already in the text right now, so I can just click and highlight to select the text, and then I can choose a new font like that. Or if I've clicked out of the text box, then now this is acting like it's an object instead of text. So to edit it, I either need to double click, or I can also right click and then click on edit text. Then I can select it to change the font to whatever I want. I can also change the words. Here in the text style panel, you can adjust the character spacing, the spacing between letters. Make it bold, italics, underlined. And you can see all the different options that come with that font here. Just like with other objects, you can fill in your fonts with colors and gradients and patterns. I have a whole video explaining lots of different ways that you can play with fonts, modify fonts, tips and tricks for getting the most out of your fonts, and I'll be sure to link that below if you're interested in learning more about using fonts in the Silhouette Studio software. Next up is the Draw a Note or Sticky Note tool over here. This is just a simple tool to allow you to leave yourself notes in your file. So if I just click here, it pulls up a little sticky note. You can just use this to add a note for anything that you want to remind yourself of. Maybe you want to put where you got the cut file from, whether or not you have a commercial license, color, hex codes, or fonts that you've used. You could also use this as a way to communicate if you're working on a file with someone else. Just any notes you want to add to yourself, you can add here. The other tools over here are only available in the Designer Edition or higher, so we're not going to cover those today. Okay, that is it for today. I hope that this video was helpful for you and helped you to get started creating with the Silhouette Studio software. Be sure to subscribe for even more Silhouette Studio tutorials and videos. And until next time, happy making. Bye!